At first glance, the story looks almost too simple to question. A K-pop project rises at a speed that feels unnatural, stacking achievements before the public has even finished learning the members' names. Almost instantly, whispers begin to circulate. Awards were bought. Influence was purchased. The entire rise was manufactured. It's a familiar accusation, one that spreads fast because it's dramatic, digestible, and emotionally satisfying. But the deeper you look into how the K-pop industry actually functions, the more that explanation falls apart. Power in entertainment rarely announces itself through obvious corruption. It doesn't move with envelopes or secret deals. It moves through access, familiarity, and expectation. It looks like decision-makers already knowing who you are before the conversation begins. It looks like comfort. When people insist that success like this must be fake, they often miss the more unsettling truth. No one needs to break the rules when the system is already designed to favor certain names. This is where privilege quietly replaces scandal. A powerful background doesn't force doors open. It ensures they were never fully closed to begin with. Broadcasters feel safe, sponsors feel protected. Award committees feel confident, aligning themselves with a narrative that already signals stability and influence. Nothing illegal happens, yet the outcome feels predetermined. The system doesn't resist because it doesn't need to. This is how fast-tracking works in K-pop, not through wrongdoing but through convenience. And even when talent and effort are real, the shadow of doubt never disappears. Every win feels questioned. Every milestone feels suspicious. Early success arrives quickly, but skepticism follows forever. That is the quiet cost of privilege in an industry obsessed with fairness. If you want to understand how influence truly operates behind the scenes of K-pop, stay with me. Subscribe to the channel, follow for more deep dives, and keep watching, because this story is only just beginning. What truly ignites controversy isn't just how fast success arrives, but how K-pop fans have been conditioned to interpret awards as moral judgments instead of business outcomes. In this industry, trophies are treated like proof of suffering endured, years sacrificed, and dominance earned the hard way. They're supposed to arrive at the end of a brutal climb, not at the beginning of a career. So when recognition shows up early, before the public can even agree on the group's cultural impact, discomfort sets in. That discomfort doesn't automatically point to corruption. It points to a broken timeline. Historically, the most respected awards followed moments that were impossible to ignore. Songs didn't just chart well, they defined the year. Groups didn't just perform strongly, they reshaped the landscape around them. In those moments, debates about deserving faded away because inevitability took over. The success explained itself. But when prestige appears before cultural proof, the industry reveals how it really works. Award shows aren't neutral judges of art, they are risk management systems. They sell narratives, ratings, sponsorships, and stability. A project that carries influence, media-friendly appeal, and institutional comfort becomes a safer choice than one still fighting for recognition. Not because talent is lacking elsewhere, but because uncertainty makes gatekeepers nervous. This is where fairness quietly erodes without ever being challenged. The system doesn't reward impact alone, it rewards proximity to power. And once that perception takes hold, it never disappears. Every future achievement gets filtered through suspicion. Even genuine growth feels prepackaged. The cruel irony is that early advantage doesn't just accelerate success, it permanently taints it. That's how a project can win trophies and still lose public trust, long before the music is allowed to speak for itself. As the debate over legitimacy drags on, the tension mutates into something far more personal. Industry structures fade into the background, and idols themselves become the battlefield. Every appearance, every glance, every half-second interaction at crowded award shows is suddenly treated as evidence. What should be routine moments are transformed into moral trials, especially when fans are already searching for reasons to discredit someone they've labeled undeserving. Etiquette becomes the preferred weapon. Bowing, hierarchy, seniority, all real elements of Korean culture, are stripped of nuance and repackaged into rigid rules by global fandoms who understand them mostly through viral clips and selective translations. A brief nod becomes arrogance. A polite bow turns into disrespect because it wasn't deep enough or dramatic enough. Context disappears the moment narratives take control. What's happening isn't cultural respect, it's selective enforcement. Fans perform expertise only when it benefits their bias, then ignore the same standards when their favorites behave no differently. The targets are rarely random. They are usually young, visible, and successful enough to threaten others. Women, in particular. become easy symbols. Neutral expressions get twisted into attitude. Silence becomes guilt. Existing becomes provocation. This obsession exposes how quickly fandom morality collapses under competition. Respect stops being about intent and becomes a loyalty test. The higher an idol rises, the harsher the scrutiny becomes, not because they've done something wrong, but because visibility invites projection. The industry may reward power quietly, but fans punish it loudly, disguising control as cultural concern. And once that cycle begins, no performance of humility is ever enough. The conversation shifts the moment numbers enter the picture, because nothing fuels K-pop conflict faster than views. Overnight, massive music video counts appear, and accusations follow just as quickly. Bot views, artificial hype, manipulated success. The claims are delivered with confidence, even though most of the people repeating them don't fully understand how digital promotion actually works in the first place. The scandal sounds explosive, until the mechanics behind it are exposed. K-pop doesn't exist in a vacuum of pure fandom love, it exists inside advertising ecosystems. Platforms like YouTube were never neutral stages. Paid promotion, algorithmic amplification, and organic fan streaming all operate at the same time, feeding into a single public number that fans treat as proof of legitimacy. When companies run ads, those views still count. Not as fraud, not as cheating, as part of the system itself. This is where denial becomes uncomfortable. Fans want numbers to represent devotion, loyalty, and cultural domination. They want metrics to feel pure. But views measure distribution, not love. Some come from fans replaying obsessively. Some come from casual viewers scrolling past an ad. Some come from carefully timed exposure pushes designed to make a group feel unavoidable. None of this is rare, and none of it is hidden. The real tension isn't whether promotion exists. It always does. The tension is how much of the hype feels organic versus how much feels engineered, and that question has no clean villain. It forces people to confront how easily perception can be shaped, and how willingly fandoms participate in selling dominance while insisting it happen naturally. By the time this argument takes hold, the numbers stop being data and start becoming weapons. By the time all these arguments collide, something far more unsettling comes into focus. The line between fans, critics, and the online communities they claim to despise begins to dissolve. Western audiences love to position themselves as outsiders, morally superior observers looking in on a harsh industry. But under pressure, their behavior starts to mirror the very dynamics they condemn. The language changes. The targets don't. Outrage simply learns to speak English. When Korean online communities criticize an idol that international fans already love, the response is immediate and emotional. The culture is labeled toxic. Standards are called inhumane. Mental health becomes a shield, and the narrative shifts toward protecting idols from an unforgiving system. But when those same communities turn their attention toward an idol fans already dislike, everything flips. Suddenly their words are treated as truth. Their criticism becomes evidence. Their cruelty is reframed as cultural insight rather than harassment. This isn't respect for Korean culture. It's selective outsourcing of judgment. Korea hates her becomes validation. Korea supports my favorite becomes proof of righteousness. Millions of individuals with conflicting opinions are flattened into a single voice because it's convenient. Nuance disappears because complexity threatens the comfort of bias. Online opinion is chaotic, fragmented, and constantly shifting, but fans pretend it's unified when it serves their narrative. What makes this phase especially disturbing is how openly punishment becomes entertainment. Public shaming turns into content. Accountability becomes spectacle. Fans cheer humiliation while insisting they're just translating or providing context. Harm gets distanced, blamed on the system, even as the same dynamics are recreated in real time across global platforms. Bullying doesn't vanish. It evolves, protected by moral language and cultural excuses. And this is the darkest irony of all. The environment fans claim destroys idols didn't stay confined to one country or one industry. It expanded. K-pop's most brutal pressures were exported, amplified, and normalized in international spaces with even less accountability. The system didn't just manufacture idols. It cultivated audiences willing to dissect them, discipline them, and consume their downfall as entertainment. In the end, the question isn't who deserves success. It's who gets allowed to exist without constant judgment. Who receives grace? Who gets dragged? And who is expected to endlessly perform humility just to survive visibility? The industry may build the stage, but the audience decides how cruel the spotlight becomes. If you want more unfiltered breakdowns of K-pop's power struggles, industry scandals, fandom wars, and the uncomfortable truths hiding behind the glamour, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and stay tuned for what comes next. Because in K-pop, the music is only half the story, and the next chapter is already unfolding.